Alrighty, g'day y'all. Trying to get comfortable in this chair. Today I want to talk about God's grace and triggered God, all of that shit. I get it. That's kind of what I want to talk about. Like, what actually is God's grace? What is it to take God into your heart and all of that stuff, all of these very religious Christian kind of ideas, especially Christian. But for me, someone who is, I don't even know what you would call me, not agnostic, but agnostic, something in that territory. But basically, I know there's more, and I don't specifically like labeling it, and I don't love religion and having I don't like being contained by some sort of religion and having to view God or the great spirit, life, nature, universe, whatever bigger thing in a particular way. So that's why I want to talk about like God's grace, because understanding by grace you can transform your life is a powerful thing. But if you're someone like me and you don't like the idea of going like, please God, or like my father, or like divine mother, divine father, or any of these kinds of things, praying to specific gods or whatever, Buddha, Jesus, whatever it is, that sort of can block you. And I'm not talking about atheists, you can fuck off, whatever, but like finding maybe they don't fuck off, maybe they will enjoy this in some degree, but the whole point is about going from I can do it all myself to I can't do this all myself and I need help. And that truly is what God's grace is. The power of grace is you submitting yourself and saying, I need help. And so it's really interesting if you think about it, that people, if God is all, God is the source, let's just say God, you can substitute it with whatever you like, but God is all things and the source of all things, and all things are in God and God is in all things. So if everything and everyone around us is God, then wouldn't it make sense that rather than having to view it as some sort of like guy in the sky who's like, oh yeah, I'll help you out, it's actually God's grace would come through other people. So that's the point I'm making, which is that to submit yourself to God's grace is actually really just to be like, I need help. And doing that and trusting, I suppose, in the power of the universe, trusting that things will work out. The combination of those two things is accepting God into your heart, accepting whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that allows things to transform. Like, so long as you think you're doing it all by yourself, which is a delusion anyway, but so long as you controlled, like, I'm self-made, I do it all myself, I don't need anyone, toughen up, blah, 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 and rejecting anything else, then you're only going to go so far and you're going to just grind your way down, basically. And at some point, for certain things to overcome things, you need the grace of God. And so really all that might be is just like, I need help, and then being like, who can I speak to? And then, taking courage, or having the courage to face like an uncomfortable conversation, whether it's like, hey, I need to, for example, I've called my dad, and for me that's like, I find it hard to do that because there's pride involved, and like, he's my dad and he loves me, but also I want to be able to do things on my own. And so there's that whole thing, or that I might not be understood, or even with friends or whatever, like worried that like, oh, I'm going to be a burden if I call them, it's weird if I call them on a Saturday night, and blah, 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 like those kinds of things. And of course, when you take those steps, even despite your resistance to it, because you got to do it all by yourself and whatever, then you feel better, it opens up opportunities, things flow, like all of this. And they seem like probably really trivial examples. I'm sure you can relate your own ones, maybe some more extreme ones. Maybe it's a tough conversation you need to have with a friend, or a tough conversation you need to have with your boss, or something like that, or a big decision you need to make. But often it's just these little things, and you go and you just surrender. You go like, I need help, and don't reflect that as a bad thing on yourself, and do away with the guilt and all of the shame, or like the pride, all of that stuff you can let go of, and allow God's grace to grace you, allow your life to be blessed. And so you really don't need it to be this thing where it's like, please God help me, I need your help, like, oh please Father, whatever it is for you. Like, I actually find that limiting, and like, it's like people say, when you try and, as soon as you name God, you contain it, and you're not describing it, God in its fullness, or whatever it is, the universe in its fullness. It can't be contained. It's because as soon as you do, you're limiting it, and it's beyond that limitation. It's beyond your conception. So it's kind of refreshing, and it's like makes me happy. Makes me happy to be like, I don't have to have some sort of like name for God, or I don't have to call it this or that. It can just be like, God is all in and around everything around me, and all really it requires is me to say, hey, I need help. I don't need to specifically say, hey Jesus, I need help. You can just say, I need help. Who can I speak to? And allow yourself the love of other people to help you and guide you and bring you out of challenging situations. And that can be really hard, especially for dudes. I find it really difficult, as I said, just because you want to be doing everything by yourself, and you see people online, you're comparing yourself to that, and you're like, no, I got to hustle, I got to do it myself. It's gay if I, ask for help, or it's gay if I, send voice memos to my mate, or I don't know. Everything's gay. That's the biggest fear all the time, I suppose, as a dude, that you're being gay. So yeah, I don't know, you get my point. But yeah, basically it's kind of like, if you can let go of all of that shit and you realize that it's actually not gay, it's actually pretty cool how it works, and allow yourself love. Maybe you can give love, but it's hard to receive love. I find it difficult, and that is receiving God's love, is the grace of God, is to say, I need help. But it does not need to be praying to God. You're in communion with God by opening up and trusting in the universe, trusting in something greater. You don't have to put a name to it, despite what anyone might tell you, or the different aspects of it. You don't need to do that. You can leave it as a mystery, and I think that's more beautiful. So yeah, that's kind of all I really wanted to say. Basically, let go of this need to do it all yourself. It's only limiting you. Allow yourself love, allow yourself God's love. At some level, you are God, we are all God. So allow your own love. Allow yourself to love yourself is another way to look at it. And as soon as you do, take steps, reach out. It's not all just going to be like, oh, it all happens so easily. You're going to have to face some discomfort. That's part of it. But it's the trusting and the saying, hey, I need help, that gets you to take those steps where previously you're like, no, I don't need to speak to that person. No, I don't need to do this. I can just do it myself. I'll figure it out. But as soon as you're in that mindset, then help will be given to you, and it'll, heal your heart. It makes you happier and feel more love and feel better. So you don't need to do it alone. Accept God's grace, or however you'd like to say it. And have a good day or night. Peace.